ke alam yang mineralnya sebelum menjadi aqua. Untuk melindungi Anda, aqua terlindungi untuk melindungimu.
Ini mie sedap pilihanku.
And quality food is priority. Mie sedap soto dengan koya gurihnya yang nendang.
Stamnya mantul. Mie sedap 사랑해.
Dari Wings Food.
Vitamin C-nya Garnier
Cerahnya cepat, mereka udah buktiin. Lihat bedanya sejak hari ketiga. Aku juga cocok, lebih cerah.
Light Complete Vitamin C. Beda cerahnya sejak hari ketiga. 9 dari 10 wanita setuju.
Cerah, cepat, cocok.
Garnier Light Complete kemasan baru.
Bedanya sejak hari ketiga.
Aku juga cocok, lebih cerah. Light Complete Vitamin C. Beda cerahnya sejak hari ketiga. 9 dari 10 wanita setuju.
Cerah, cepat, cocok.
Garnier Light Complete kemasan baru.
Yeah, I'd be worried about the Tottenham fans. We got some feedback here that I think is really relevant, Erling Haaland. Discuss. The English FA should merge the League Cup and the FA Cup. Try to stop him. Try to stop Thierry Immobile. That's the problem you've got.
Welcome to the Stadium Madya in Jakarta, Indonesia, where we have Group H action from the AFC Cup as PSM Makassar are entertaining Kaya FC from Iloilo in the Philippines. This, of course, is not a home ground for PSM. Instead, they play the AFC Cup home matches a long, long way from home in Makassar. And as a result of that, they'll be glad of any support they get ahead of a very important match for them. They've got off to a start in this competition that has seen them impress on one of their outings and maybe not so much on the other. But the side that comes into this one with plenty of pedigree in this competition, semi-finalists in the ASEAN zone last time out, won convincingly here last time out 3-1 against Shan United. Their opponents come into this one with an unbeaten record and strong enough Kaya FC at this competition, and no strangers to PSM, these two sides having met at this stage of last season's competition, and it was a draw and a win for PSM. Well, I'm delighted to say sitting alongside me is someone who knows all there is to know about football in both Indonesia and the Philippines, because he has coached a club and national team level in both of those countries. Simon McMenemy is with me. What do we expect from this one? And first of all, just explain to me why we're here and not further away.
Well, much to Makassar's frustration, they will want to play the game at home because their fans are fearsome. But being based in Jakarta, we're expecting less fans today. The stadium in Makassar is an old stadium. It's kind of a bit of a throwback when you go there, which makes it that fearsome old school feel, but it doesn't qualify to AFC standards, so unfortunately they have to take one of the new stadiums.
And tell me a little bit about this stadium. This is obviously part of the very celebrated Gelora Bung Karno complex. Now that in itself, of course, is a magnificent stadium, but this is part of the bigger facility, right?
Yeah, all these facilities right in the dead centre of town, they all got an upgrade with the recent Asian Games that was held in Jakarta. So this was an athletics track. It was a warm-up area for guys that were going on inside the main stadium in the Bung Karno. So it's a lovely little stadium. It's a nice surface, holds about 9,000 to 10,000, but a nice new stadium.
All right, well, as I said, it's a stadium that we have seen in AFC Cup action already so far this season. The other performance, this was one away from home against the Tampines of Singapore, saw PSM lose 2-1. Now, we're just beginning to hear, we'll have, of course, detailed team news for you in just a moment, but we have been hearing ahead of the game that the PSM Makassar camp has been struck by illness, and therefore we could see substantial changes. What have they got up to so far domestically in the early stages of the league campaign?
Well, I watched them pre-season. I watched a couple of their pre-season games, and they were a little bit hit and miss. They came back early, obviously, because they had AFC, and have done okay so far. I still think there's more to come. I don't think Bojan's quite had his full team available to him. I think when he does, they'll be a handful.
Yeah, this is a side that, somewhat curiously, having won the domestic cup that qualified them for this regional competition, really tailed off in Liga 1 and finished in 12th place last season.
Well, let me tell you, last season's league schedule was a killer. It was, one game every 4 days, and with the travel in Indonesia, that's a hectic schedule. So trying to play a cup competition in the middle of that, it got towards the end of the season, they won the cup, and they just said, do you know what, we've done all we can. The fact that they can compete at this level is testament to that, that they keep churning out results and keep churning out good, hard-working teams.
Just tell me how the teams look prepared for this one. Obviously a journey from Iloilo in the Philippines for one of them, but also a flight for Makassar as well, because from South Sulawesi here is, what, a good couple of hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a neutral ground for Makassar. They don't normally like coming to Jakarta because this is procedure territory, and that's fearsome as well. Yep. A little bit more of a neutral game for them, but make no mistake, Kaya will have travelled a distance.
FC Iloilo.
Well, here come the teams, as you can hear. And what will be interesting as we see these players emerge, in particular, we'll be having a little look at those maroon-shirted PSM players and working out just how many changes their head coach, Boyan Hodak, has had to make. He has just spoken and said that there is sickness in the camp and it's affected a number of their players, as many as 3 or 4 sick players, and straight away I think we're able to identify some substantial changes, and it's beginning to look very much now as if they might be without significant players. I certainly count the absence of their captain and their goalkeeper from their last outing in AFC Cup action, and as I said, we'll list all of those changes in just a moment. One would imagine that barring illness we would expect to see a far more settled look to the side that we've seen from Kaya FC. In fact, from game to game in their Group H outing so far, there has been a real consistency of selection for them, something we haven't quite seen from PSM in both domestic and regional competitions so far. Just tell me about playing surface here. What do we expect from this one? Remember, Kaya will be on a very different surface anyway.
A little bit long, a little bit bouncy. It wasn't built primarily to have lots and lots of football played on it, but it is a good surface. It should play well, and barring any rain, will be fairly level to both sides. Of course, Kaya used to plastic, so we'll start to see a bit of a difference there, and I think that was one of the troubles that PSM had when they played Tampines, playing on plastic, and that switch between the two. It's not something we do often in Indonesia. Yeah,
that's something that they will have to adjust to. But we've seen them in this competition before, and we know that they have the capacity to adjust to different surfaces as they travel around the ASEAN region. I should just point out that in charge of today's games we have a set of officials from India, and it's going to be Sri Krishna Kombatori Ramaswamy, who is the man with the whistle in charge in the middle of this one, and his assistants, of course, from India too. So here we are then. Oh, major changes. 5 changes then. Captain Plume is out. Afan comes in for him. Saputra, the goalkeeper, replaced by Hilman Shah. Foreign striker Giancarlo misses out, but Ferdinand Sinaga, more than capable deputy, comes in for him. Baugatra is out too, and it looks very much as if the exciting Asnawi Bahar is missing. Serif Hazic, we understand, has been suffering with illness as well, but their foreign midfielder is at least on the bench, which is where you also see Mizwa Saputra, but no place at all for 1 or 2 of those sick players. So this really has struck them down, as we see our officials here. Just have a little look at this Kaya FC lineup in just a moment, but straight off, Simon, that's a cause for some concern, and it'll be a boost to this side here as Kaya FC come into this one with just the 2 changes from their last AFC Cup outing, that 0-0 draw against Tampines. We see Falonco coming in for Soriano in the right back position, and then Giganto, a goal scorer towards the end of their first game in this competition against Shan United, comes in for Panhai. So by comparison, a much better preparation for Kaya FC. What do you make of all that team news, in particular the loss of the captain Plume?
Well, for me, it levels the playing field a little bit. Kaya coming in, almost unchanged. These are guys that we see every week playing for Kaya. With PSM, there's individuals there that aren't even particularly well known to myself. Losing Plume, that's a big deal. They've had a little bit of an issue. They've lost quite a few good players with transfers and bits and pieces going. So, yeah, Bojan's really got a job to do today.
Yeah, well, he cut a very disgruntled figure pre-match, did Bojan Hodak, but boy oh boy, he's got plenty of experience, an incredible amount of work that he has done.
Pha bếp, nhà cái hàng đầu khu vực.
Taken probably one of their best wingers out in Asnawi. He's exciting. He was putting lots of crosses in. So maybe that's the reason why they're resting Asnawi this game.
And of course we expect to see Osas to the fore. Quite a character, this guy. Of course he's naturalised, born in Nigeria. 33 years old right now, and they're going to have to call on all of his experience here if they are to get off on the front foot.
They'll be looking to Sanaga as well. Sanaga's got a lot of experience in the league. He needs
The control at the back early on, a bit of authority. I'd imagine that he'll be also Horikoshi took the ball well, got an early cross in, always to be encouraged, and in the end it was the experienced Hussein Eldor who decided to just put the ball behind. So first corner of the match goes the way of the visitors, and it'll be their skipper who strolls across, Jovan Bidic, to take this one.
Of course, 2 or 3 of their big guys missing here from set pieces, so new guys filling holes. We'll see how they get on with the first delivery here.
As expected, it's just that away swinger, and it was Mitchell who was threatening. Came off a maroon-shirted player last, and behind it goes, and he knows how close he was to getting a really free header on goal.
Yeah, there's a couple of mismatches in there, with Plume missing, Plume 6 foot plus, Giancarlo missing 6'5".
The same again, one would imagine here, from the skipper. There's a bit of pushing and bumping going on in there, the referee's having a close look. Here they go again. Down goes Mitchell, I think it was. Feels he was fouled. Play goes on, and that's not going to trouble the keeper. Straight away, some concern from the set pieces then. An encouraging start then for Kaya FC, who will feel that every game they play at this level is experience gained.
Yeah, some seasoned campaigners in that side. With the 2 guys at the back, Mitchell's playing next to Rota. Rota's been and seen most things in this part of the world. A lot of national team experience.
Yeah, Rota's somebody who learned his football actually overseas, didn't he, in Italy, and then really built a career here.
Great story to Rota. Obviously an orphan, built himself up. You know, he still gives a lot of salary back to the orphanage he came from. Really great guy.
Yeah, absolutely great point there. When if you get a chance, go and read up on his story. Really is inspirational, Simone Rota. As it is, a good start by this Kaya FC team. Of course, it's a 3rd taste of AFC Cup action for them. First in 2016, where they came 2nd in their group. And then in 2019, 3rd, winning just 2 of their matches. And so an opportunity really for PSM to just get themselves settled into this game. A little bit of time on the ball wouldn't go amiss. That's Leo Guntara who worked it down the left-hand side, and Folonko, who's a seasoned campaigner. You'd have no trouble bringing him back into your team, would you?
No, he's a good player as well. Came across to Kaya, was at Stallions beforehand, was always one of the Stallions players you had to look out for. You know, the lower, no disrespect to Stallions, one of the lower level teams in the Philippines, but always one of those better players that you had to just keep an eye on.
Guntara making something of the throw in there.
A little bit scrappy so far. No one really putting their foot on it and just keeping possession.
That's nicely done, though. Neat little turn from Jakub Sayuri, who's got the skills, but one back, and now an opportunity to build. But as you said again, Simon, a little bit scrappy through midfield. The game just looking to just find some kind of a rhythm, some kind of a pattern. There's a touch for Waziak, who's come into the team today, as they work their way down the right-hand side, but really crowded out there. 3 yellow-shirted Kaya FC players, more than capable of dealing with any threat from PSM.
Yeah, early on, Kaya just looking to get numbers behind the ball, maybe move the ball forward nice and quickly and try and transition up the pitch with a bit of pace, put pressure on that defensive line of PSM. Maybe not too much possession, not early on, just really try and play the game in the attacking half as opposed to defensive half.
Looking to exploit any uncertainty that you'd feel inevitably will come along because of this massive rejig to the side.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of players in there, not probably in sync with each other too much. New faces popping into positions that, you know, guys like Plume will have played most games last season. Long-standing with PSM now as far as foreigners go.
Absolutely, and with everything going through Plume as well, as you say, it really sets the tone for the team. They're going to have to find a way, though. And early on, at least, we're seeing Osas doing an awful lot of work, just trying to close down, press from the front, set an example. And in so doing, he's just hurried Kaya FC a little bit there. But they're still in possession. And in fact, they've enjoyed the majority of the possession so far in this game. Mitchell, plenty of time on the ball there.
Good to see him just slowing it down a little bit. There's a little bit of experience in that. Not just looking up and trying to ping one forward. Just take your time, put your foot on it, get it into midfield. Let's keep the ball a bit.
There was a little look there at the number 39, Takumi Uesato, who will be the furthermost forward player for Kaya FC, and he's a real live wire. Really never stops. Plenty of movement, plenty to keep that man worried. As he looks at how his charges are settling. Nenad Bacina alongside him, his long-time assistant.
Kaya working really hard to keep the game narrow right now. They're not giving any width away. They've obviously looked at videos and seen as Nari in the last game how wide he got and put crosses in, but they're trying to keep it very narrow, keep it compact and win the ball back quite often.
Yeah, and Uesato, you can see, is dropping off and dropping back in to help out as well. Keeping it very congested in those midfield areas. And as yet, we really haven't seen much other than a ball looking for Osas early on from PSM. Now a little bit of room and time, and up it goes again. Waste any time whatsoever there. Osas was the man trying to make his way through the middle. And now it breaks with a little bit of room down the right-hand side. Horikoshi easily away from his man. He's got 2 to aim at. Plays the early ball. And that could have been better from Uesato. And that was just a little catch on the top of the foot there, and I'm afraid that is going to be a painful one there. So Masanari Omura, brave to go through with the shot, but that's really how the metatarsal gets hurt.
Yeah, stud showing there. Surprised that's not a yellow card, to be honest.
Well, he's still down, and that's no surprise whatsoever.
Looks like
it's one of those instances there, Simon, where I don't think either player's going to pull out. Defender's always going in, striker, he's going to have a shot, isn't he?
There comes a point where you're going to take contact. Now, if you're pulling out of tackles like that 20 yards out, as we said, they had a suspicion that might be a yellow card. You can't pull out of tackles like that, unfortunately. That's one where the ball's bouncing, you're a centre-back, okay, it's a yellow card, sorry ref, apologies, pick the guy up off the floor.
And I think Guzmawan's body language told you the story there. All you can hope for is that he's come out of it okay. So a little bit of pain early on in the piece for Masanari Omura, but he's a battle-hardened campaigner, and he's won his side a free kick in a very, very handy position here. Maybe a little bit close. Interested to see what they can work from here. Just on the edge there of the D, as you can see.
2 good free kick takers here, both of them very handy from dead ball situations.
So Takumi Uesato it is, the 39, and then his skipper. Does it look like a left-footed shot for you?
I would favour the left, yeah, but Bedic being captain.
Let's have a look who it is. It's Bennett, and yeah, you are absolutely right. He pulled rank, and well, we'll let them discuss as to whether that was the right call or not. In the meantime, this is a really adventurous run down the right-hand side, and that's Mohamed Rizki Pratama, who nearly went all the way to the opposition box.
And look who it is taking the ball off him. That's the guy who took the free kick. That's how disappointed he was with his own performance. He felt the need to run 60 yards to win the ball back. Fair play to him. Good captaincy there.
Bedic it was, working back in there. But it's been a bright start. I think we have to reinforce that. Bedic himself doing well there. Nicely done. A little foul there, and the referee's all over this one again. And that's the second.
He's off.
It's a second yellow very, very early on, and it's the same player, and he is off within 10 minutes of the game starting. Dedi Guzman finds himself red carded, and you have to ask if that merited a yellow.
I think that's a big decision from a referee. After 10 minutes to send him off for something like that. I mean, the first one I agree with, the foot was high. There's not a huge amount of contact there. Yes, there's hands on the back, but it's not like he's going through the guy. I think there's a touch. The centre forwards, he feels the contact. He goes down to get the free kick. I don't think there's any need for a yellow card. That's just spoilt now.
Well, you say that, but of course the referee's assessor will tell you it's not his duty to not spoil a game or to consider that. He has to take every incident in isolation, and that's all I have to really ask is, in isolation, given that there would have been a break on, the ball was moving forward, position on the pitch, does a referee have to process all that? I think I'm with you on that. That might have been something where he needed to just count to 5. Well, here's an opportunity. We can debate that in just a moment, but can they exploit this one? Giganto it is down the left-hand side, and a real buzz now. Sky FC have made a good start. They're numerically advantaged. Lovely work down the left. Just a little bit too much on that one from Cassambre. Stays in play. And PSM need to regroup again.
Wow, yeah, unexpected. 10 minutes and we see a red card. You don't see that very often, but PSM already up against it with their changes, now dropped to 10 men, and really should give Kaya a nice little confidence boost here. As a coach, you're pulling your hair out. What little Bojan has left, bless him.
He's cut a fairly disgruntled figure virtually all the way through here, and one would imagine that his happiness levels won't be any higher for that.
I'm sure he's
that's nicely done, and again just playing for that little foul and getting it, and Giganto there, and at the moment it was Waziak drawn into this one. No doubt, no denying that.
Yeah. See, I think what we also have to consider here is that there is a cultural issue here. Now, the league itself is a very physical league, and the referees, we're talking about an Indian referee who isn't used to probably Southeast Asian football. The Indonesian league is tough. I wouldn't expect that to be a yellow card in the league. I just simply wouldn't.
Okay.
You
see a foul given though, don't you?
Be a foul without a shadow of a doubt.
No card.
But a yellow card, no, not for me.
Okay.
And I would be very surprised to see that in a league game.
All right, here we go then. So it's Omura hoisting it up, looking for Mitchell, who doesn't win the header. But the ball will stay with Kaya FC. And it'll be their throw over on the far side. So a man up. And in the first 12 minutes of this game, really, it's been the yellow-shirted visitors who've played the majority of the football. Out it comes to Giganto, seeing a lot of the ball down the left-hand side right now. Showed too much of the ball in that instance to the defender, and this time it's a free kick that goes the way of PSM Makassar.
You'd like to see Kaya just trying to keep possession for a little bit now. Just make PSM come and, test that shape. They're going to have to change something to now play with a 10. Test them, keep the ball, make them chase you. See what holes appear. Just take your time. You don't need to win it in the next 3-4 minutes.
It'll be very interesting also to see what they do in terms of PSM's mentality. They clearly will be unhappy. They will have an issue with maybe the referee for the decision he's taken already, and an opportunity perhaps to draw 1 or 2 more fouls.
Yeah, temperament obviously in Indonesia is quite a difficult one for teams sometimes. They just need to, if they can, put their foot on the ball, pass it around, get comfortable with this new shape, with this 10 men on the pitch, and see if they can start to launch attacks themselves.
Take a little look at the number 4 there, Masanami Omura, who can play in defence, but you'll see him more and more now pushing forward from that midfield position. Twice there he's got up in support of his attackers when you'd expect him to be perhaps a holding midfielder. They really are flooding players forward when they get the opportunity here, and but for a poor touch there, they still have an opportunity. There's the overlap on, and they're really not getting near anybody here. PSM with a chance. to put a tackle in as Kaya FC are coming forward really almost undefended.
Well, Onara had the ball there, probably 10 yards inside the half, and all PSM players back behind the ball. He's quite comfortably, if they start letting him get on the ball, he's going to start pulling strings and causing issues. We've got to find a way of still being able to maintain a little bit of pressure on the defensive midfielders. It's going to be difficult with 10.
Wazia now, as they again look to build something, and again they find themselves shut down. It's been a frustrating first quarter of an hour for Boyan Hodak's side here.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few choice words there with his assistants.
Just struggling really by the looks of things here for someone to put the foot on the ball and just dictate the tempo and calm things down, and that's what the body language is telling you straight away there.
I think if anyone, we'll see Omura start to really play a big part of this game. He'll be the one that Kaya go through. They'll be playing into his feet quite often and just getting him to pick holes in that PSM defence.
Well, nothing's really working out for them there. That was the skipper, Ferdinand Sinaga, surrendering it. Just poor chest control there, and again it comes back at them. This time it's a long-range effort. Saw the keeper off his line. Why not?
That's good awareness. He's got his head up. If nothing else, it shows he's looking and seeing what's on. Just a little tester to the goalkeeper. Stay on your
Remember,
line.
the goalkeeper is one of the players who's come into this one. Hilman Shah is the player who hasn't played any role so far in the AFC Cup campaign for them. 22-year-old. These are imposing enough figures. Stands 1.83 m. But look at this. Look at these passes. They're
a little bit rattled.
They're struggling, aren't they, for composure?
PSM a little bit rattled here. This is where Kaya can really capitalise on that by keeping the ball. Just keep the ball and make them chase you. You give them the ball back, they feel like they've got control, they're gaining something back. Don't give them the ball, keep it, even if it's across the back line. Get them chasing you around.
Might just have got away with a throw in there, but as it is, Kaya, who do seem to be living in the opposition half right now, the number of bodies they've got across the halfway line. What they do need now is a little bit more incisiveness. For a moment there, they started working the flanks, in particular Giganto down the left. Need to perhaps work on those overloads. Now, as a coach yourself, if you have found yourself go a man up so early in a game, at what point do you change things? At what point do you look to try and work that advantage?
Well, you certainly wouldn't do it straight away. There's a danger there. What I would, like I was saying earlier in commentary, keep the ball and just start having a little look, evaluate the situation. I try and get players to keep looking at what the opposition are doing all the time. Because as a coach, you don't have time to stop the game and explain things. They've got to do it themselves. And if they can't see it, just take the time, see where they're stretched, see where they're arguing. There's the weak point.
Now, as it is, look at this. They're struggling really to get out of their half at the moment, PSM. And that's one way of doing it. Long ball out to the right flank, possession surrendered, and but for that poor piece of play there from Kaya, they'd have had the ball back, and they really are imposing themselves here on the opposition.
And that's what you like to see. Wazi out there just saying, hey, let's just calm down, come on, we're in the attacking half now, let's see what we can do, can we keep the ball, pass it around a little bit.
Not a whole lot of options for him in the centre of the park, and that's where they seem to be most obviously lacking.
I think Kaya are doing a good job of keeping it very narrow. They've not given them any options to play forward. They can't get it into Sinaga or into Osis's feet.
We've hardly heard the name Osis, have we really, so far in this one?
No, quite easily winning the ball back at the minute. PSM okay with 10 men, but not really asking any questions and giving the ball up like that. And that's, with 10 men, it's going to make for a very, very long game for them.
And that was sloppy from Jakub Sayuri, who knows better. He's one of their brighter players. But it does seem to have really affected all of them. And once again, it's Kaya comfortably passing it around. There's the man you flagged up, Masanari Omura, who's going to be on the ball more and more, you feel?
Yeah, I think he's just going to sit just in behind the PSM striker, but in front of that midfield, and just occupy that space and just allow balls to come into him, just like this.
Always Sato,
and then just playing
comes.
it back, just calming it down, keeping the ball, keeping possession.
And they're always finding a man over. It's Aguilez in this case. No one anywhere near him, and between the two of them, they're always freeing somebody up. Now it goes in to a dangerous area, and that's dealt with well enough in the end by Leo Guntara.
It's a better bit of play by Kaya, just keeping possession, like we say, organised, just slowing things down. Then all of a sudden, a ball in behind that finds a little bit of space. Yeah, that's clever play.
Looking for a little bit of movement here, not really getting a great deal. And now they go. So Horikoshi, who is really one of those cases of perpetual motion, as you so often get from the Japanese professionals. A real battle for the ball there, and in the end it's given away. It came from a little bit of sloppiness from Mitchell to start off with, and in the end, leading by example there was Osas, who doesn't mind a bit of physical contact.
He's a strong boy, Osas. He may not be the most technical footballer in the world, and he'll openly admit that himself, but work rate, effort, chasing things down and just being difficult to play against, he's very good.
Ahmad Agung there, and this back four has seen an awful lot of the ball early on. A lot of passing it sideways, not an awful lot of progressive football from PSM so far, other than those attempted balls. Nothing wrong with it if it works. Into Osas there, who wins this one, holds his man off, out to the left-hand side. This is better. Early ball in, and that's going to have to go safe as it hits a chance. Oh, and it was the skipper there who may feel he could have done better. The second shot wasn't far away, but dipping too late as it came in from Jakub Sayuri. Comfortably their best moment in the game. And could he have done better here? Maybe not that one. The earlier chance was the one, I think, that was probably worth looking at.
Yeah, you would back Sinaga to put that one away, and you have the feeling that if PSM are going to get anything out of this game, they can't spurn chances like that. That was a good chance. It was maybe a fifth, a look at goal, but got to be taking chances like that with only 10 men on the pitch.
And it was the first move they've really put together. It was the long ball diagonally knocked into Osas, out it went wide, good early cross, and that's how you're going to catch Kaya.
Yeah, a little bit slow to stop the cross there. Van Local maybe not able to get out to him too quickly.
Waiting for the flag and the whistle, which duly come along there. It was the captain who'd strayed well offside. But Bedic and company will know that there will be spaces for them to exploit. There will be gaps here. If you are just joining us here, a dramatic opening to this one. Remarkably, really, the PSM defender, Dedi Guzmawan, sent off for consecutive yellow card offences. There could only have been a minute between them, one would imagine. Saw red some 10 minutes or so, just under 10 minutes into the game, and an incredibly poor start, really, for PSM Makassar, who have got a lot of work to do now against a side that has come from Iloilo and impressed us so far in this game in Jakarta.
Yeah, very much an uphill task for PSM now. It's going to be a long game, especially for those strikers. Sinaga and Osas just chasing down, always outnumbered, trying to get something on the ball, chasing lost causes. It's going to be a long road back.
This is a little bit better from PSM. They're beginning to see some of the ball, although unable to do anything with it there, Osas, and then they rather get away with a mishit pass, and they've got players forward here. This is nice. Osas, he can go all the way here. Through he goes, finishes, as you'd expect. And against the run of play, the home side take the lead. Straight through the middle they go, and the opening goal comes their way from the appropriately named Osas Marvelous.
Well, a marvellous finish from Osas there. He'll thank me for saying that as well. But it was a nice bit of play, a nice cutting ball straight through the lines, finding that little bit of space in behind, and a really solid. He knew he had to finish that one. It was an important finish.
Nicely done. The keeper maybe made his mind up for him there, but really bearing down on goal. There was only ever going to be one outcome there, and that's two sharpish-looking attacks in the space of a couple of minutes, and suddenly they've come to life.
It's actually the first time PSM have been able to play through the middle of the pitch. We said Kaya were doing a really good job of playing narrow and blocking everything. The first time they've managed to play through the lines, really cut Kaya in half.
And that is not a scoreline that really looks all that likely for much of the first 20 minutes of this match. But as it is, it's PSM who have taken the lead, and who knows, maybe even just wrested back the advantage, because it's been a good few minutes for them, I think, broadly speaking. I just wondered, Simon, about that earlier ball in that play. It did look as if it was either a fortuitous or an incredibly good pass from a deep position that just really bisected the whole of that defence.
Well, listen, as a coach, I will always give him the benefit of the doubt. I think by how Kaya have set up to try and stop the balls through the middle of the pitch, the fact that he's able to look up, see a bit of gap and ping a ball through there. It wasn't in the air, it was laced through the middle and ended up, finishing a goal. No, really nice little pass. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he meant it.
Credit to them. And it absolutely, as you say, sliced through the heart of that Kaya team, which allowed Osas a run in that I'm sure he could barely believe he had. But once he composed and gathered himself, it was just the kind of finish you'd expect from him.
Yeah, he can. You put him in the opportunity, or put in an opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, he'll do that for you. And I'm sure that will give him a nice confidence boost. And like earlier we were talking about, he's going to have to chase a lot of dead balls and try and put pressure on his own, which is never a nice thing for a striker. That'll just give him the confidence to go and do it now.
So the 10-man team won, the 11-man team nil, and that in itself raises one or two interesting questions in the minds of a coach, I would imagine, in terms of how you approach things from here on in. Far too early to start sitting on a lead. That's a long-range effort, and it was just deflected, but to no great harm there through to Hilman Shah.
Well, most of the time when you go one player down, you get one of two reactions. You get a negative reaction, oh God, the world's against us, and the other team just keeps the ball the whole time. Sometimes you get a positive reaction. Sometimes, hey, everything's against us, come on boys, we're going to have to do it. And this is what we've seen from PSM, they've dug in.
Well, here's Osas again, he's going to do it on his own, and he's really seemingly able to take on this defence at will. And Kaya being subjected to something of an examination, and they're not really looking too good. Maziat's ball there to the far post, that'll be put behind eventually, will it? Or kept in play. And there we are again. There's a physicality that I think you pointed out earlier on about the league in general and about this PSM side that is just giving them the edge in certain duels here, and we saw that, I think, every time Osas has been involved. No one's living with him right now.
No, there's definitely, and it's interesting when you start talking about football around the world, and when you play in these AFC Cup competitions, it's just such a big place, and you bring in, you see a lot of Middle Eastern referees coming in, you see a lot of cards, you see sendings off, and Indonesian teams have always struggled with that. They've always struggled with discipline issues on the pitch, and not because of anything other than tackles.
Jakob Sayuri, it is, just bends that one in, but comfortably dealt with at the near post. He might have another opportunity. No, it runs out of play, and something of an opportunity squandered there. He's a very talented lad, this one is Jakob Sayuri. Has an eye for a goal, scored a beauty with his left foot against Shan United in the previous match day in this AFC Cup Group H.
Yeah, PSM lost a couple of players in the transfer window at the beginning of the season, and he's one of the players that really has started to shine given the opportunity.
Here he is though, Horikoshi has put a lovely little ball into the far post. Nicely done, superb individual skills. He just dummied his man, committed his man, made a good run down the left-hand side, and then puts a ball in that was always gonna cause trouble for a defender. Safety first, as it turned out, and as a result of that, off trots Jovan Bilic to take a corner for his side, who'll want to get back into this one. They'll still be frustrated that they're somehow trailing.
Yeah, that cross in the box there, I would always tell wide players, it doesn't matter what you do to get into the position, but the last thing you do, make it good. You will only ever be judged by the last thing you do.
Well, that's the away swinger once again, and that's met by Wisato. Wasn't a great deal on the header. Still needed clearing, but there's another chance here. That's a decent-looking ball, and well done, goalkeeper. That's commanding stuff from Hilman Shah, who came and wanted and got it. And he sees one of his players go down, and it was Amana Gung who just took a little knock in that scramble. But, you know, there were going to be elbows and all sorts flying in there.
Well, he's a young goalkeeper, and this will give his confidence. I mean, he's gone through 2 or 3 players. If that defender wants to get in his way, that's what's going to happen. Fair play to the goalkeeper. You want that from a goalie, especially a young guy. You want him coming out, and if there's traffic, he's got to go through it, but very, very clean. We're having a little chat and a laugh about it now. Don't do that again.
22-year-old did what he needed to do there, and as a result, just a little flurry there in an attacking sense from Kaya has been calmed down by the side that will look to just make the most of this position they find themselves in. Again, long, and this has been a feature of what they've done in the first half. They don't mind knocking it long. They know they've got players up there in Osas and Sinaga who will cause trouble.
Well, they can afford to do it now. They've got the luxury of that first goal. They can afford to just play a little bit longer and sit maybe possibly a bit deeper and just not give anything away. Certainly don't want to open up the middle of the pitch where they're exposed with that, lacking that man.
And there he is, captain on the ball right now, just swings one out to the right. Fascinating contrast tactically here. We're seeing this direct approach from PSM. Kaya having plenty of bodies left over in the middle of the park, looking to be a bit more intricate, a little shorter passing game. What they're lacking really is something incisive up at the top end of the pitch.
Just lacking that penetration really, aren't they? They're not getting into attacking areas that are causing PSM problems. We've seen 1 or 2 maybe good deliveries, but other than that, it's been fairly easy for PSM to deal with.
And again, it breaks down there, a little frustrating there. Giganto's really just faded a little bit from the game, struggling to get involved as much as he was early on. Now down the left-hand side for PSM, it's a foot race, and it's one that, well, that's an unfortunate slip there, and half a chance, blocked by Mitchell. And again, possession surrendered. So now it's the away team that's struggling a little bit for composure, struggling to put some kind of a pattern of play together, string some passes together.
Well, I think the
psychological impact of the goal probably has something to do with that.
Yeah, I think so. I think we started seeing Kaya passing before. They were starting a little bit higher at the pitch. They were harrying. They were making it difficult. PSM lose a man. It's almost like they get a little kick up the backside. You know, a little shout from the coach. Hey, what's going on here? They've got to go and dig it out. And now they're starting to do it. They're working harder, and they're probably outworking Kaya.
And again, we go long all the way from the keeper. Mitchell comfortably deals with that one. Now, is there an end product this time around for Kaya? Well, no, because not on the same wavelength there, and things not quite working as they did earlier on. Bedic there expecting to see his fullback overlapping, didn't do so, and this is far, far more now to the liking of that PSM bench, who did look troubled early on in the piece.
Already losing players and then losing a player after 10 minutes. I mean, that's one game plan gone through sickness and then another game plan gone through a red card. He's on his third game plan now, and this one seems to be doing okay.
This one's all right.
This one's working.
We're just through the half-hour mark here at the Madia Stadium on the grounds of the famous Bung Karno in Jakarta, which is where they'll be playing their AFC Cup home matches. Long, long way from home in South Sulawesi, which is why you haven't got a great deal of support here for the PSM Makassar side. But as it is, they're getting by just fine.
They're doing well. Indonesian football without supporters is a very strange thing. You know, they're known for their fans, so they could fill that stadium 2-3 times over if that was in Makassar, which it's such a shame, really, and it will make it difficult in the latter stages. Not maybe this is a little bit, you know, nip and tuck it, but when you're up against some of the Middle Eastern teams, if you can make it to those zone finals and onwards,
then you need that advantage. You need everything you can. Well, unfortunately, as we all know, due to a global situation, football in front of not many fans is something many of us are having to get used to, and it's something that the professionals are having to deal with as well. But as it is, this has been a game that has seen a fascinating contrast in styles. A physical approach from the home side, more sporadic early on. And now they have a bit of defending to do, but that ball into the area leads to an unintentional handball. A little bit frustrating really there for Giganto, as really the last 20 or so minutes of this game have been.
It's been a little bit obvious from Kaya, to be honest. I mean, there's a delivery just put in the box. They've got the extra man, yet they're still picking out the one guy on the pitch who we know the ball's going to go to. And PSM just pull their naturalised player back, their foreign player, 2 against 1, they win the ball back. It's a little bit... It's a bit straightforward from Kaya at the minute.
So tell me this, is Oliver Collina their coach? Is he now already getting his head around, what do I do in the second half to exploit this? Do I get that guy out wide? Do I put an extra body in somewhere? This must be crossing his mind already.
I would suspect he will already be looking at his bench and thinking, how can I change the game here? Because PSM seem to have this in their back pocket in terms of tactically how they're set up. They kind of know what Kaya are doing here. I don't think Kaya are asking too many questions of them. I'm sure he'll be looking at his bench and thinking, okay, how can I mix things up?
That was a nice piece of play there by Osas once again. He was let down a little bit there, that his pass didn't quite get anticipated, but he draws in 2-3 players every time he gets near the ball, and he's creating pockets of space for this PSM side.
He is a handful. His physicality makes him a real handful. Players just bounce off him.
And we do need to remind you, this is a PSM side missing many of its regulars, not least its captain, Plumouts, through a sickness. The same sickness has laid the foreign striker, Giancarlo, low as well, and they're getting by just fine without. But here's Bedic, the captain of Kaya, who dwelt a little long on the ball, but goes and gets it back, as you'd expect. Giganto doesn't keep the ball. Is that a handball? No, says the referee. On he goes. Has he got a shot in him? Well, he's just this time surrounded by a couple of maroon-shirted PSM players, and there's been a marked change in their defensive attitude. Standing off early on, but they're making the tackles count. They're getting the ball of this man an awful lot more. And more often than not, Osas makes the right decision.
He's doing a good job up there. You could see in transition there, PSM not quite able to keep up with how far he is up the pitch, so he had to hold on to it that little bit longer just to wait for the cavalry to arrive, but doing a good job as a lead striker, a man down.
And again, there you go, the diagonal ball asking questions of the defence. That's nicely done. Uesato's dropped deep. He's got a man to his right-hand side if you can pick him out. Orikoshi it is. Orikoshi gets a shot away. Back it comes, though. This is a good little spell there for Kaya. Folonko's ball in. It's allowed to bounce in the area. And on the edge of the box now. This is an opportunity. Angeles it was. Again looking for something penetrative. And that was a little risky at the back there from PSM. Oh, they're asking for a foul there, nothing doing. Certainly no arm raise, no elbow.
A little bit lightweight for there for me. I think just being a little bit clever, slowing things down. Let's
see who it went down. Was it Waziat who went down with that one? Let's have a little look. But that's a good time, as you say, professionally. Waziat is indeed has gone down.
Risky Patama's gone down at a time when, you know, Kaya was stringing a couple of passes together, threatening a little bit. Yeah, nothing wrong with him other than a damp fringe now. He'll be fine, I'm sure. He'll be fine. But you know, this is the sort of smart play you need. This is not about winning points for nice attacking play. This is about 3 points in a big competition. So at the end of the day, slowing the game down. Hey, Kaya, just taking the buzz out of Kaya.
Looking to take this lead through to half-time, aren't they?
Absolutely.
At the very least, PSM. And to that end, you're absolutely right. It's just a couple of moments there where they looked a little bit wobbly once again. A couple of balls from Kaya into the box that caused them trouble, and they're supposed to be returning this, and that's what Osas does. To a sprinkling of applause as fair play is applauded. See, there is room for nicety in the game, Simon, after all.
3 men and a dog like that one.
Angeles on the ball. They need to make something happen before the half, or they'll go in a frustrated side, will Kaya FC. Done a lot right in this half, certainly early on in the game. But now Mitchell, they'll stand off him, allow him to play a ball, and maybe that's why. Look how deep. They've got everybody behind the ball here, haven't they, PSM? Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Lacking a little bit of creativity for me. They're not finding enough. They're not moving the ball quickly enough. You haven't got someone who's nipping around a corner and getting a ball back. This, like that, for example.
A little bit lightweight, isn't it, as well? A little bit lightweight when it goes into the strikers. No great focal point, and that's markedly in contrast to what we're seeing from PSM. Well, he didn't know where the ball was, but how about that then? A bit of skill from Hussein El-Dor there. He'll have enjoyed that one, but not so much the fact that possession has now been surrendered, and he's got a lot of ground to make up. Back he comes. Oh, and that could be another card. That was a lunging challenge there on Hoshikori.
Oh, he's done well there. He's done well just to draw him in for a little challenge. That's a desperate lunge. He doesn't need to do that. He's not going anywhere. They've got numbers over.
Leo Guntara it was. Have you got away with that one?
I think no yellow card shown there.
Well, that again takes you back to the sending off, doesn't it? Because that was a far worse challenge than the yellow for which Dedi saw a second yellow and therefore a red very, very early on in this game. Can they take some kind of an advantage there? It's Takumi Osato standing over this one with that cultured left foot of his. The big men are in there, and the biggest of those men, of course, is Carlisle Mitchell. He'll occupy a central role in this, if anything is to come from it.
We said very early about PSM missing 2 or 3 of their big players, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it on the same big guy's head every time. It becomes a bit predictable.
Referee's words there. Holding will be a penalty, he says, so they've been warned. Uesato curls it in. Nice ball! And that's very well defended. Had to be. Whereas Hussein El-Dor got his head on that one.
Mitchell finding a bit of space there. PSM a little bit, just letting him drift off at the back post. Very good defensive header.
Yeah, from the set piece. Lebanese defender really is a stalwart of this team. And this, you feel, is a very crucial time now for Kaya. As Bedic stands over another corner. Is he going to curl this one in and just examine that penalty spot once again? Oh, it's floated rather to the far post. Stays in play. Nicely done. Mitchell went for the header. And that's the shot that comes in, and these are positive times for Kaya, but they need now to
Chỉ còn hơn
regroup.
10 phút nữa thôi, trận đấu sẽ bước vào giờ nghỉ giải lao. Và trước khi tạm biệt anh em, chúng tôi xin trân trọng
presumably the big
giới
men
thiệu
stay
một
up once
website đặt
more if
cược
they
bóng
can
đá
fashion
phải nói
another
là
chance
cực kỳ
here.
uy tín hiện nay.
With Sato, this time with the right foot, not enough on that
Có
cross.
chương trình khuyến mãi lên tới
And
2
they'll
triệu
clear
đồng dành cho
with
thành viên
PSM
mới.
as far
Hoàn
as they
toàn hợp
can,
pháp,
but it comes
an
back
toàn,
again.
đạp rút cực nhanh. Nhấn mạnh là không
Mitchell
đâu
happy
bằng.
to stay in the box here. You don't
Nhanh
see the
tay truy
centre
cập
back trying to get back.
FA88.tv.
Here comes
Nhận ngay
Uesato
những ưu
once
đãi
more.
tuyệt
Once
vời này.
again, he chips one in with the right foot. Mitchell never going to score from there, out by the penalty spot. But the pressure begins to build. It continues to mount. And as that one goes behind there from Leo Guntara, they know that they need to see this through somehow, PSM, and this is the time for Kaya FC to draw level if they possibly can. Set pieces have kind of given a little bit of optimism, a few grounds, but no clear-cut chances as yet.
You'd like to see something. You'd like to see something a little bit more creative than just, you know, everybody running around and we stick it on Mitchell's head. You'd like to see, you know, they've got the extra man. Can they draw a couple of PSM players out and give Mitchell a bit more space before it goes in?
Well, that one was clipped a little bit shorter. I'll have another chance here if Bedic can keep this one in, which he does. And now on the left foot. Oh, that's a good-looking ball in, but the keeper commands, and he's done well a couple of times now. Nothing wrong with that from Hillman Shah.
Answered a couple of questions. Kaya have put some balls in there, and as a young goalkeeper, done very well coming out claiming 2 good takes now.
So a concerted spell of pressure there for Kaya leads to nothing. And now it might be advisable for PSM to just clear their lines here. Spend a bit of time in the opposition half if possible, but that's easier said than done. That was sloppy from PSM then, and once again Kaya back with some possession. Can they turn this into something meaningful? Uesato, who's seeing a lot of the ball at the moment. Angeles switching the ball a little bit better now, moving it around. It's back with Mitchell, and time's just beginning to tick away towards the half. 5 minutes or so remain. As Cassambre has a little look up now. PSM shape so far good, and they'll deal with that, but not particularly well in terms of the clearance straight up in the air, and they need to be careful here. Look at that, everybody now.
It's like a
from
training
both teams,
exercise.
apart from a goalkeeper in that PSM half. They know what they want to do, and that is to just get to the break.
Yeah, it looks like an attack versus defence training pitch. You know, half a pitch.
But does attack get through? And that's the question. That's nicely defended once more. Angeles picks up the scraps though. Is he going to get a cross in? Yes, he does. And that's a commanding header away, but only though as far as Omura. Now here's half a chance, a shooting opportunity. But as the tackle came flying in, that flew wildly off the left foot of Takumi Uesato.
He's got the ability to do that. He's a very good player. We can see that he's not getting enough of the ball, so he's drifting deeper to try and get himself involved. He knows he's a vital part of the Kaya cog here, but yeah, not slicing it wide like that. He's a better player than that.
Yeah, one of the problems they seem to have here, Simon, is that in drifting deep and looking to join up, they're losing something at the top end of the pitch, aren't they? They're losing a focal point. There's not really a cutting edge. For all of that fairly tidy play that we see in the final third of the pitch, nothing really is profited. Can you remember many clear-cut chances?
No, I don't remember the goalkeeper actually making a save. He's taken 2 good crosses, but not actually made a save yet.
That was a hefty challenge. That was another hefty challenge, and you'd say probably an unnecessary one there. Leo Guntara it was, who's cut a little bit of a frustrated figure for the last few minutes.
Well, he's got to be careful now. He knows he's done wrong because he's whacking himself on the head there. He knows he's made a bit of a mistake. That's a very late challenge. And that comes straight after that one we saw earlier where he avoided a booking.
And that could have been a red now. So he could have been their second player sent off. They've got to be careful with the discipline. Obviously, they're coming towards the end of a strength-sapping half, and that's when sometimes the mind frays. But we are seeing an injury change here, obviously, here as Marwan Angeles cannot continue. And with, what, just 2 minutes to go, we're seeing a little fella come on that I think you can tell me something about in a moment. Let's get this free kick taken first. Arnel Amita, the player who's arrived on the scene, the number 17, diminutive figure. don't think he's going to be rushing into the box to get on the end of this one. In the end, the delivery not really one thing or another. Uesato goes down looking for a penalty, but there was nothing there really. And Ursas looks to bring the ball away. He is crudely challenged, and he's beginning to show that perhaps that should lead to a caution. Some frustration out there, but it was who was involved in that tussle, and it looks as if he knows exactly what he's doing here, Rosas, as the clock winds down. So tell me about the substitute then. We need to find out exactly what it is that has led to Marwan Angeles being unable to continue. But as it is, we've got this little fella coming in, Arnel Abulok Amita.
Yeah, commonly known as Nano to all of his friends and anyone who knows him in the Philippines. He's a great little player. Was a high school standout. Was a real emerging talent.
Just going back, that was a little bit unfortunate. What he's done there is he knocked the ball under him, and Osas just stepped on the ball. So it looked more sinister than it was. And the referee decides that that's all there is in that one. Sorry, going back to Nano.
High school standout was a hell of a player. Really was at high school level. And
what does he do? Is he a midfield skillful player? Or?
Attacking midfielder. Will get the ball, give it back. He's someone what you call a ball lender. He'll get it and give it back, and get it and give it back all the time. A little bit of a creative force. We've outlined the fact that really Kaya missing that creative edge, that focal point. He's someone who can start to find that pass. He can start to link things up. He's a really talented little footballer and has had a lot of bad luck with injuries.
And his coach gets to have a little look at what he can do for a couple of minutes before half-time, whereas one would imagine ordinarily we wouldn't have been seeing him to the second half. Well, here's an opportunity for them to sling a ball in and see what he's got in terms of quality from this. Not a great one to start off with, but it's kept alive.
I think with him coming on the pitch, we might see a change in shape. I think he was signalling to a lot of players there, possibly a little move into a 3-5-2, just trying to flood that midfield and create more attacking opportunities. There's no pressure on the defence, so they don't need 4 guys back there. Yeah. I have a suspicion he's come on just to add something to that midfield, and you can already see he wants to get on the ball, he wants to link things up.
Uesato over on the left-hand side right now as we come into really the closing stages here. Been a little bit of time added on. We had a sending off, we've had a couple of injuries, we've had a substitution already. Are they going to strike on the stroke of half-time here? Boy, they could do with that, Kaya. Otherwise, they will go away from a first half empty-handed and frustrated. Looks like there's another player who's taken a knock over on the far side there. So this first half is taking some time to come towards its conclusion. Just trying to get a glimpse of who that was, Simon. Anyway, play goes on. That's a clever little ball to the near post, but it is there. Throw into the near post, and in the end, the ball came off the Kaya captain, and it'll be PSM surely to bring this half to an end as they have a player down, Kaya, but off the pitch. So play goes on, and they do find themselves suddenly with some problems.
Just got to get it through to the half. Assess it at the half, you know. A couple of minutes left. Just don't give anything away, nothing silly.
All right, 10 against 10 it is then. As we are not going to see a full complement of Kaya players see this one through to the half, not through any foul play, but rather because, as you can see, one player sitting this one out with just seconds to go. There it is then. So referee Ramaswamy brings to an end a really fascinating half of football that looked as if it was all going wrong for injury and illness-plagued PSM, who found themselves reduced with a sending off of Dedi early on in the piece, some 10 minutes in. And just when Kaya looked as if they were in the ascendancy, well, it was Osas, who else, the standout performer for PSM in the first half, who popped up with a goal, which means at half-time in Jakarta, it's PSM 1, Kaya 0. You've taken the call-up.
Wake up! It's game time.
Lived the sleepless nights, stood together through the tough times, and celebrated the wins. And now Standard Chartered is giving you the chance to win a trip to Anfield. Simply go to the Fox Sports Asia website and tell us in 25 words or less why you should stand red at Anfield and never walk alone.
Sporting art at its finest. Oh, it's just amazing.
So
so perfect.
This is turning into quite a performance, delighting the crowd, embracing the occasion.
Oh, absolutely sensational.
That had a bit of everything in it.
And it just gets better and better.
It's lights out and away we go.
Here they come, boys.
He's like a prize fighter out there with a heavyweight world championship belt within his grasp.
It's now or never.
Oh my goodness! World SBK is back in 2020, and boy is it back in style! Magnificent header, gorgeous start from Dortmund, absolutely fantastic! What a game this has been!
You gotta feel good for the man tonight.
He's a phenomenal fighter and a phenomenal champion.
You've taken the call-up,
Wake up! It's game time.
lived the sleepless nights, stood together through the tough times, and celebrated the wins. And now Standard Chartered is giving you the chance to win a trip to Anfield. Simply go to the Fox Sports Asia website and tell us in 25 words or less why you should stand red at Anfield and never walk alone.
This is the XFL Punt. This is about coaches thinking twice about punting or going for it on fourth down. In the XFL, if a punt goes into the end zone, the receiving team gets the ball on their 35. And forget about coffin corner kicks. Punts that travel out of bounds are placed at the 35-2 or where the ball left the field, whichever is better for the receiving team. Plus, the punting team can't cross the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked. So the receiving team is less likely to call for a fair catch and more likely to return it. We're making the punt more about coaches going for it on fourth down. So get ready to get loud, because a crazy return or fourth down conversion could be coming up. This is for the love of football. This is the XFL.
How far will our nomadic species have wandered by the end of the next century? Who will we become in the far future?
We moved to Greece in order to witness an international cross-country rally event, the Rally Greece Off-Road, which was held for its 7th consecutive year in the city of Kastoria, in the northwest part of the country. The 7th Rally Greece Off-Road is second on the tour of the East European Tout-Terrain series. In a previous episode, we travelled to Israel for the Desert Baha. This significant international cross-country rally was the first round of the 2019 East European Tout-Terrain Series season, and we couldn't miss the chance to follow the action in its second round.
The East European Tout-Terrain Series is one idea that started 3 years ago, with 4 organizers from Greece, from Romania, Bulgaria, and then we have added also Turkey, and this year also Israel. We hope next year Bulgaria to be again in our calendar.
The 31 competitors that participated in the event arrived from Greece, Cyprus, Italy, Belgium, Bulgaria, Turkey and Israel. And among them are some famous teams and drivers that have participated in the legendary Dakar race. This year's event was one of the biggest and longest automobile races conducted in Greece, compared to the amount of days and shorter distances that competitors had to accomplish previously. During the 4 days of the race, drivers had to cover almost 800 kilometers, from which 520 kilometers were special stages. Through these demanding races emerged the winners, final classifications in categories and classes. The main attraction for the spectators was the 3 days of the super special stage, set in the heart of the city. The unexpectedly high temperatures, the absence of wind, and the high percentage of humidity really challenged the competitors. So much so that they were happy just to be able to finish the race. At the end of the long race, the crowd greeted the participants with warm applause as they passed. In the car category, Gal Sakam and Ophir Nimrod of Israel, with a sophisticated Mitsubishi L200, celebrated the title. Leaving in second place the Greeks Petros Choutis and Kostas Makris with their Mitsubishi Piero. The pair kept pushing for victory up until the very last special stage. In the SSV SXS category, the winners were Kafri Zahi and Shai Regev from Israel with their Can-Am Maverick X3, followed by the Italian son and father team Pietranera and Edoardo Fabrizio, also in the Can-Am Maverick X3. This year's organisers, with the assistance of the Kastoria region and the Kastoria municipality, offered participants a high level of organisation, with a reputation hard won during all the previous editions of the rally. The Rally Greece Off-Road has already started preparations for the next season. The 8th Rally Greece Off-Road in 2020 will be even more challenging, and we will be there to witness all the action.
Exhilarating test of horsemanship and nerves.
What a fantastic stallion.
As the first equestrian major, we'll see the top riders in the world race against time to get a shot at the coveted title.
And how about this speed? Just within the time. Looking like a speed derby.
The Dutch Masters. On Fox Sports 2.
This March, we'll lift your spirits on Fox Life. Single, ready to mingle, and clueless about the dating scene.
I had no idea that dating was going to be so complicated.
A widower becomes a hot commodity known to single ladies as the unicorn.
You ready?
Oh yeah, girl. Jump back into the farm life with Mike and Rio.
I'm really excited.
These city slickers are slowly settling into Bucksnort.
Boom! Oh, it didn't go down.
But have they truly gotten over their agriculture shock? Yes. Bless this mess. All eyes are on these spectacular vocal battles.
It was really a masterful performance.
Catch new coach Nick Jonas as he makes waves to find the new champion.
He's so cute. Look away.
Welcome to the show.
Together with Kelly, John, and Blake.
I can't wait to win again. Hey!
On The Voice. This March, we'll lift your spirits. On Fox Life.
There's a fine line between fast and fastest. Success and failure. Teammates and rivals. Between the greats and the greatest. The new season of Formula One, live on Fox Sports.
Diggle, count us down. Woody, you are gonna love this.
Yeah, Combat Carl's getting played with.
The whole gang's still together.
Let's go!
Yeah. Look who jumped 40 school buses and landed back in my life.
Who needs a kid's room when you can have all of this? It's time for the next kid.
Toy Story 4 premieres March 14th, only on Fox Movies.
Want to learn something nuts? This is Sportomology, and today's word is nutmeg. In football, it's easy to look a mug when nutmegged. The term itself is said to have originated in 1870s Victorian England. Devious traders would fool clients by mixing nutmeg with wooden replicas. Hence, nutmegged became synonymous with duped victims and clever tricksters. The word was quickly adopted by football to describe threading a ball through an opponent's legs, the ultimate insult. This is Sportomology. You'd be nuts to miss it.
Welcome back to the Madya Stadium in Jakarta for this AFC Cup Group H encounter. At halftime, it's a 1-0 advantage for the home side, PSM Makassar, against Kaya from the Philippines. 10-man PSM, I should point out, but they're continuing a strong run in this AFC Cup competition so far in terms of their history of home matches played in AFC Cup football. It's a decent enough record. Before today, they'd won 4 and drawn 1 of their 5 home matches played. Yet to be beaten then, and they're continuing that right now. Despite going a man down in that first half, they went in at the break with a 1-0 advantage thanks to a 21st minute goal from striker Osas. And there is the man who really stood out for them, grabbed the game by the scruff of its neck when his team was struggling and a man down, and has left this team with an awful lot to think about. So Cassambri and company, despite their one-man advantage, will kick off trailing by a 1-0. Just a little look out for any tactical switches. We've seen one substitution already with Amita coming on for the injured Angeles just before half-time. So the one change made so far has gone the way of Kaya FC. So referee Ramaswamy gets us underway, and straight away Simon McManamy, who's sitting alongside me for this one, the former Indonesia and Philippines coach, has seen a tactical switch from the away side.
Yeah, I think coaches there from Kaya recognising the fact that they've got to get more players forward. They've got to start asking questions of this defence, and I think we're going to see Kaya set up in a 3-5-2, which is going to make them a little bit open to counter-attack, but should flood bodies forward to give them a little bit more ability to get in behind them.
Well, it looks as if they're going to try and use the width as much as possible as well. An opportunity then, as we see the little figure there of Nano. Well, that was very cute from him. He was never going to win a header there, but he's great with the ball at his feet. And there is the little lad, the substitute, who came on towards the end of that first half. And it looks as if he's going to be a key part of the revised plan as Mitchell pumps the ball forward. It's a layoff that comes the way of Nano. He's seen a lot of the ball early on already. Now an opportunity for a ball in, and a good one too. Nice curling delivery there from Rota, and this is a bright start by the visitors, and that's well defended, as it turns out then, from Ritski Pratama, and away come PSM for the first time. Pratama involved for the second time, but possession surrendered to the team in yellow. They're all on the left, but they open it up to the right-hand side. Simone Rota working it forward. They're on the front foot, that much we know. Horikoshi down the right-hand side. Didn't have much joy in the first half. Let's see what he gets in the second. While he gets a cross in. And certainly early on in the piece, it looks as if it's going to be Osas operating on his own up top, as his PSM teammates are really sitting back in a defensive formation here. That's a nice little ball. If you can keep this one in play, Giganto it is, gets across, and the keeper with a vital touch there.
Well, there's Nano making a difference straight away, just dropping into that hole in between the lines and picking a real clever little reverse pass, finding the runner, and just a good hand to that, just knocking it away from the oncoming striker that took it away from being an obvious goal.
It was all that Hilman Shah could do, and he's done a lot right so far in this game. There's Osas trying to take on Kaya single-handedly. What he does get out of this one is a throw-in, though, and it looks as if we're seeing a change straight away here. So a very, very early change in the piece. It's Aznawi who's coming on. Clearly they were looking to see if Leo Guntara could run something off. He is on a yellow card, remember. So Guntara goes, and in comes a bright player, a player who's got a lot of quality about him.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Great with the ball at his feet. For a fullback, creates a lot of opportunities for strikers. He's someone that Indonesia is very much looking forward to seeing how he progresses over the next couple of years. And it's good to see him introduced.
There's Osas down the right-hand side. Just chips the ball in, and a good one too, but that'll comfortably fall the weight of Kaya FC's keeper, who hasn't been really busy in this game at all, it must be said, Katsas. But for being beaten by that Osas goal, he hasn't had an awful lot to do.
I think the longer this game goes on, unless we see something from PSM on the breakaway, I think it's going to look like a defence versus attack. Three players being kept behind the ball, and then everybody else just trying to find that bit of space and trying to break down this tough PSM defence.
Yeah, there's that shape you were talking about, Omura, and he will occasionally push forward. Uesato's kept that in play, and he's, oh, there's a rugby tackle, but he gets through that one. And Takumi Uesato does well there. What can they make of this? Edge of the area. To the captain, who trips over his own feet there, unfortunately. So, Badic unable to make anything of that. No foul. Mitchell appealed for it. Osas it was who was involved, and that's nicely worked, but an offside flag just raised, and that might have been tight.
That's Aznawi again, threatening in behind from a deep position, just running past everybody. Just timed his run wrong, got caught offside. If he just stuttered his step or curved his run a little bit.
He's a player who likes to get forward. Now, oh, and there's a yellow card for Bojan Hodak there, who's shown some dissent. And so PSM's coach, who's not averse to expressing an opinion, finds himself in a bit of trouble. Okay, this is a lively start to the half, it has to be said. Horikoshi trying to spark something down the right. There's Nano, already very, very good on the ball, and that's a nice ball in! Oh, and that's a beautiful header. Beautifully worked. The cross was a sweet one, and Giganto was the target, and the header was perfectly placed. And that means they're right back in this one at the start of the second half.
What a fantastic cross in, and matched by the angle of that header. Goalkeeper can do nothing about that. Always get told, hit it back the way it comes from. Not try to direct it into the corner, into the far corner. It's just, oh, it's a fantastic header. Keeper's really struggling to get there, and what a great ball in. Nano really making a difference since he's come on, and I'm really glad to say that we called it early.
Well, that's a really good finish, that, from Giganto. He had a lot of work to do then, as you said, steered it the right way, back it went, and, you know, I would imagine for a coach, that's as good a feeling as it gets. He's sent the right man on, he's done the right job, and they're right back in this game now.
Well, now PSM have to find something. If they sit back and take a 1 point at home, it's, you know, even with 10 men, they've still got to have a threat. Really, defending like that's not going to help them.
And there's a little bit of danger right now. That's neatly done. Oisato, it was another dangerous ball in, and that's allowed to bounce. And they're in a bit of disarray at the back of PSM at the minute because the attacks keep on coming. And they're struggling to clear effectively here. Just a little bit of panic. Oh, and they get away with one there, really. It was Asnawi who twisted and turned and drew a foul. So lots happened. Let's just remind ourselves that Bojan's got himself a yellow card there into the bargain too. So a lot of stress really on this PSM side at the start of both halves.
Given what we've seen so far, it looks like Kaya got an absolute grilling at half-time because they've come out and really asserted themselves into this game. The pace of the game has picked up. Kaya's pace has picked up. They're really asking some questions of PSM. The question now is PSM, can they respond?
That's Mitchell just clearing that one, and then unable to help that any further there. Panhai. They got a call, and in the end, safety first, really, there, Rota. What they mustn't do is just suffer one of those lapses and allow Osas in particular a run in on goal. They worked hard in that first half, and it really knocked the stuffing out of them, Kaya, when they conceded that goal on 21 minutes. Having worked their way back into this one, they'll really want to let that happen again.
I think if PSM are going to come back into this again, it's going to be through counter-attacks. That maybe Osas holding the ball up and as Nawi getting nice and close to him. That's really the only way they're going to get at this Kaya defence. But if Kaya can start linking passes together and get Nano on the ball, we've already seen what he can do. A couple of good passes in between, a great cross for the goal. It might be Kaya's for the taking here.
Carlisle Mitchell then over that one. Back he goes to his keeper. And suddenly there's a much brighter feel to proceedings for this Kaya side that's got a little bogged down midway through the first half. And little number 17, Nano there involved. As they look to play in behind, they're in with an opportunity here. And Bedic, it was a late flag raised.
That was close. It's very close.
Yeah, captain just seeking confirmation on that, and I don't know.
That's very close. I think he could feel a little bit hard done by that. Nice little run in behind the blind side of the defender.
Again, though, that was far better than much of what we saw in the first half from Kaya. They're finding a way through, which they didn't.
Well, I think this tactical change has been smart. It's flooded options going forward. It's caused this defence. Well, there's Nano winning the ball back again. He's really been a threat in this game already.
And they really are struggling to clear their lines right now. Orikoshi once again. Now, will he run at his man and get to that byline? Thinks about it. There he goes. Unable to get across in, though, from that position. Key is they're retaining possession so well until, in the end, that little duel, which was a good one, was won by Asnawi, who brings the ball away.
I don't think he'll outrun Asnawi. He's a quick little kid, but certainly has the experience over him. If he can play on that, he might get a little bit more joy, but flat-out pace, I would suspect Asnawi has him in his back pocket.
And in the end, Rota does the safety first thing once again. There, just flicks that one out of play. A little bit of grey at the temples these days for this well-travelled footballer.
Lovely guy as well, I have to say, lovely guy. Played a lot of football, still could quite easily just, you know, take the time off, but his work with the orphanage is important. He wants to keep playing for as long as possible. He battles against injuries to keep coming back and keep playing. But a really nice guy, and as you said earlier, a hell of a story.
Yeah, 35 years young, and look up that Simone Rota story if you can. Quite remarkable. So here they come with a little breakthrough. The substitute again. That one's just a little bit overhit as a pass, but there's an industry and an invention about them that was lacking in the first half. And that really was a pretty aimless ball out by the goalkeeper, which tells you a lot about PSM in this second half. Struggling to string things together. That's a neat little ball in, and wasn't quite on the same wavelength there, Giganto, as Oisato, who played a sublime little flick through to him.
They're starting to find space they didn't find in the first half. They're dragging PSM out. They're making them mark in wide areas, which is opening that space up in the middle of the pitch because of that quite smart tactical change, going with 5 and then 2 in front. Really causing PSM problems trying to close down the space at the minute. They're allowing Kaya to just find little channels to play into, and Nano is really making a difference as we see him pick up the ball again.
Look how deep PSM are sitting. The home side very, very much on the back foot in this one. It's nice, they're using the width. That's a feature of this second half. Oh, what a ball in, Hoshikoshi it was. And Horikoshi's ball there has still not been effectively cleared. Nano again on the ball. Horikoshi could have done better. If there's a criticism of the player, I think Simon, it has to be the end product. Hasn't quite been there.
We said it before, you know, you can dribble fast 5 players, you can take the whole team on, but then if you put the ball in row Z, why bother? It's always the last thing you do. It has to be the best thing.
Let's have a look at their set pieces now. We saw as soon as he arrived on the scene, Nano was involved, but Panhai, who's on the pitch right now, the number 12, he finds himself entrusted with this one. It'll be the left foot. 6 in the box for Kaya. And again, the referee with a word with Osas, who knows what he's up to. He's marking Uesato there.
Osas speaking perfect Indian there, I think.
Panhai goes near post. Oh, and that little flick. Defended well in the end. And in the end, it was Sinaga, who we've really seen, I think, far more in a defensive role than anything. He hasn't had an opportunity too much going forward, it must be said. But that speaks volumes about the kind of football that PSM have been forced to play today.
Yeah, he's had to come back and help out now. And really, Sinaga is a poacher. He's a very good striker. He gets his goals, good in the air, good on the ground. He's a new school Gary Lineker. Just happened to be in the right place at the right time when a deflection came to him. A lot of his goals come from inside the box.
Well, he's taken his captaincy's responsibilities very seriously today and really helped out the team cause, perhaps to the detriment of his own personal opportunities. But here's a chance for them, as Osas was there as the target in the centre. But Sayuri couldn't pick him out on that occasion. You get the feeling with Sayuri especially that he's that little bit of magic, isn't he? He's got that ingredient and can open up a side.
He definitely has that, and if Kaya keep pushing forward to try and get a winner, he might see a little bit of space. Up against 3, maybe on a counter-attack, getting him in behind, possibly long diagonals, trying to find that space on the other side of the pitch. But they've got to have the ball to do that. Kaya doing quite well at the minute.
Not any great rush here. Down the line they go. Osas almost inevitably the target, and almost inevitably he wins, even against the mighty figure of Mitchell. That's nicely done, though. And it was Nano once again who brought the ball away. Oh, there's a lovely ball just inside the fullback. Just held up a little bit on the turf then, otherwise they were in once more. And he's just injured himself making that clearance. I think it's Ahmad Agung who's struggling a little bit here. Oh, the referee has one look and realises that he needs some treatment. Oh yeah, that's an awkward position he's got into, isn't it?
I think overstretched there just a little bit. But at the same time, you know, there didn't seem to be any pain on his face as he made sure the ball went out of play. I would suspect this is just... I would suspect he's okay.
He got up, didn't he? He had a little swing at the ball again. That might have just done the damage, but the impassive face of Bojan will probably tell us enough there. They're looking to take the sting out of this game whenever they can, and Kaya FC, to their credit, have been trying to sting quite a lot, particularly in this second half. So PSM looking to do all they can just to try and get the game played on their terms.
Yeah, I think you could tell in his face he was more interested in what was going on with the ball than how bad his leg felt. I think he's all right.
It's almost as if you've worked in this league, isn't it?
Does it come across? Does it come across at all? That level of content? No, I won't say that.
No. Okay, great. Away we go. So Nano it is. This time he's dispossessed. That was a little bit lax there from the youngster. And it's just gone a little bit quiet now, hasn't it, this game? After that onslaught from Kaya at the start of the half, is Osas looking to do it on his own once again. He needs marking, that man. Play on, says the referee, rightly so. Risky's done well there. and he's still going on his own. Not a great deal of natural width to this side right now, PSM, and that was all very narrow. Nothing came of it. Ball just holds up again, but Nano gets on it. Head always up.
Yeah, he plays with a real style about him, Nano. Just very simplistic. We'll just link passes up. We'll just give it and get it again.
Here he comes again.
He's not someone you want to allow on the ball
too often. Is there a cross again? Is that left-footed cross coming into play here? Opportunity. Giganto blazes over the top, and that was a chance for a second.
Big opportunity for Kaya there. Really sat up nicely for him as well, and just didn't get his knee over the ball, leant back, and probably hit the floodlight, unfortunately.
Oh, that was an opportunity. Really, for a while, it looked as if Bedic had no idea where the ball was going, but it fell to the feet of the man who has scored their goal, Giganto, and you feel he should have doubled his tally.
Well, when you see finishing with his head compared to finishing with his feet, maybe you should be trying to head everything, no matter where it comes into him.
But they will be happy enough. Kaya are in this, very, very much in this at 1-1. Surely a foul there. And he'll claim he got a bang in the face there, but Asnawi is the one who will be penalised. Horikoshi felt quite a bit of force there.
Asnawi making a little point there. I may be young, but I'm not backing off. He's got that little bit of fire about him, Asnawi. I think that's why he does quite well in Indonesia. He's not scared by anything or anyone, and he quite often, you know, will be up against bigger, stronger players. He's
he can hold his own, can he?
Yeah,
I think that's the point of it, yeah.
Definitely one for the future, Asnawi.
Well, just a little pause there because the refreshment and hydration's been taken on, so referee recognises that we can't carry on just yet. So it looks very much now as if it's going to be Rota and Mitchell, that whole partnership at the back, looking to work things forward. And again, this pattern of play sees Osas the furthermost forward by a long, long way here. Look how deep they're sitting.
Well,
almost really,
shift.
they're in their own box here, sitting on the edge. Oh, the ricochet there could have been very, very fortunate.
Look like the referee calling himself a handball there. I'm not sure. Bounced off him, came back.
Painfully as well. Yeah, smile on his face tells you he's going to go for a drop ball. Not contested, I'd imagine.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. There we go.
Hussein Eldor, it was, who just lofted that one down the right channel. That's a header from him again. And now, there it is. If it's going to be on the floor, it's going to be with that man. Nano, number 17 for Kaya. Just skips away from a couple of challenges, gets the head up again, picks a pass. Always the width on the right. Horikoshi it is offering it. And he looked to make a run. Instead, Nano comes back in. And as we know, he can hurt you if he checks in on that left foot and gets a cross away. Man coming to him, but away he goes again. This is impressive from the youngster. Horikoshi again chooses not to cross. Goes left-footed. It's a tougher angle. But there's a player down injured. Out it goes. It's professional there from Omura. As they are really being stretched here, really being pulled around here, and it's Ahmad Agung who's struggling a bit physically now, Simon.
Yeah, that's the second time we've seen him down in such a short space of time. You know, if he's not injured this time, I think the referee will make a mental note of that.
And of course, it's the goalkeeper who helps him out.
Now they're saying change now.
Oh, straight away.
Fair enough.
Okay, so problems beginning to mount really here in terms of personnel for Bojan Hodak and his side here. He lost a defender to a red card early on in the game. Here comes another key member of his side. So he's unable to continue. Leo Guntara has gone already, remember. And in case you missed the news ahead of this game, this is a PSM side that featured 5 changes from that which last played in this competition. They have been really plagued by sickness, illness in the squad. 3 or 4 first-team players and just about all of them first-choice players, are unwell at the moment, so that's severely curtailed Bojan Hodak's selection to date, and it's been further hampered by one or two on-the-pitch problems here in terms of sending off and injuries. Oh, well done. Oh, Horikoshi. He worked hard, he drew the foul, and fortunately, he's got up in one piece.
He should really. He's quite right asking the question, because the referee in the first 10 minutes has put his cards on the table and said he's not going to stand for it. Yet you could see what was coming there. We all saw what was coming there. You knew what was about to happen, and he still dived in. Now, interesting.
Now, talking about illness, that's Seraf Hazic who's coming on. We have been told that he wasn't 100%, but needs must, and the towering figure of the Bosnian arrives on the scene. Really all hands on deck right now. Anyone to help out. So in comes Hazic.
Rota's just giving him an interesting look there. What, he's marking me? Oh, no.
And that was rather wasted, and you don't see many of them. Carlisle Mitchell on the pivot, edge of the box. Over the top it went.
Yeah, half chance there. I think he had a little bit more time he thought he had.
So we've seen a lot of changes in this game. A lot of changes to both sides now. And there he is, a former Bosnian under-21 international, 32 years old now, right now, hugely experienced. And again, the physical presence of that side has just been increased a little bit. Oh, that's nicely done. That's what we were talking about in terms of his quality. Sayuri. Looking for the ball wide, and it doesn't come in instead. Oh, it was 2-on-1 in the middle for a moment there, and in the end, they get away with that, Kaya. Somehow that goes between Mitchell and Rota, and they're in trouble. Here's Nano, sees the man wide, finds him.
6-on-5 there for a minute, just as PSM
Sato
retreating.
dinks a ball in, and in the end, that needed clearing. And away it comes, but only as far as Omura goes long, range with the shot, and it had to be special from there.
Especially from him as well, and he won't mind me saying that. Not many of them come along too often.
But there was just a little opportunity at the other end of the pitch, and you do feel it's that physical presence. And another player goes down. Giganto it is now. Something's happening here in Jakarta today, Simon. It's taking it out of these players.
Oh, it's a bit of a physical battle. I just wonder if you spoke to Bojan now, would he take the 1-1 as a coach? Would he, you know, okay, we've had a go at it. We've had luck's been against us. We've had injuries. We've had this. I wonder if he'd take that 1-1.
He'd probably take no more injuries.
I'm sure he'd take no more injuries. Yeah. Don't know how many players he's got left now. He'll be playing himself soon.
I'm old enough to remember Bojan playing.
Yeah.
Might have played against him.
He's a good player, was he?
Very good. That's nicely done. Panay, it is progressing down the left-hand side. Oh, and past one, past another, past a couple, but one too many in the end. In the end, PSM working in outs of their own half nicely. Good ball into midfield, and suddenly there's a turn and there's a spring and there's an opportunity. Sinaga's free down the left-hand side. Sayuri goes on his own. Well, they backed off, and it's dangerous to do that to this man.
Yeah, he's a talent. You can't let him run at goal. He had his head up looking for that opportunity. But just finding that little bit of space in between the lines, that's a byproduct of Kaya trying to press, trying to get higher up the pitch, but just little pockets opening up. It's
Connor Takagni coming on now. Giganto is indeed the player who cannot continue, so the goal scorer makes way, man who got them back into this game, and then missed a very, very good chance shortly after that.
Connor's more physical player. He'll put himself about, and he does have an eye for goal as well. Given a chance, he will put the ball in the back of the net. So a very positive change there. I mean, enforced with Giganto's injury, but Connor a very worthy opponent and will quite happily put himself into tackles.
Yeah, there's evidence of that straight away there. Connor, of course, you know, it's fascinating when you see the makeup of the modern-day Philippine sides. You know, born in Shrewsbury, and yeah, you just hear that more and more, don't you?
Isn't that little island just away from Manila somewhere?
That's right.
Yeah, that's. I mean, this is something that people don't understand a lot of the time about Filipino players is that ability to have a dual passport. It means they qualify from the Philippines from birth.
Yeah.
There's no naturalization process. They're not taking extra money. They qualify because their parents or whatever it is.
That's right.
But it does certainly give the Philippines a real advantage at national team level.
Yeah, and we've seen that in recent times, obviously. But what happens in the context of this game with 20 minutes remaining now in Jakarta, as now he goes forward for PSM, who have weathered a bit of a storm at the start of the second half, much as they did in the first. And this one's intriguingly poised at 1 apiece in this AFC Cup Group H encounter, which has had so many talking points. Sendings off, injuries, goals, plenty going on.
Just get the feeling maybe one more goal could win it either way. I mean, I know that's quite an obvious thing to say, but it doesn't look like a game that's full of goals. But
Some
I think
tackle
one more
by the little man there, by the way. Went in, blocked tackle, came away with the ball, did Nano. Yeah, if I pushed you, if I made you stick your neck out, and I'll do that in a moment, I need you to tell me who you would lean towards right now. Here's an opportunity. Horikoshi rewarded for persistence and then can't pick the ball at the end again. So who's it to be? Who wins this?
I have a sneaky suspicion, Kaya. I just think that PSM players have been battling with 10 men. They have to play counter-attack, which takes a hell of a lot out of you getting up and down the pitch. It's not a progressive thing. It's all or nothing. It's a tiring way to play, and Kaya really turning the screw now pressure-wise. Nano very influential.
And we've seen a couple of players go out of that defence already. I mean, the PSM side was a makeshift one to start with, but that defence, even in this game, has been severely changed, hasn't it? Drastically altered.
I think if I was Bojan, I would take the draw quite comfortably. It's not been his day-to-day in terms of things that have happened to his team, his setup. As we said, he's on plan C, plan D now.
Look how deep they are there. Is there a way through? Well, not like that. It's not going to cause too much trouble. But you're right, it's going to be a long 20 minutes, this one, for the home side. Even Osas, who's worked so hard today, he's beginning to just slow a little bit. He's really, worked on his own tirelessly up top and offered them an out at times when they've needed it. But as it is, it keeps coming back now. Here's a bit of danger. Sayuri, does he go on his own this time? He may do, Picks a pass to Osas. Keeper's got to be careful. And it stays alive, and Osas looks to get the ball back in play. Then he looks to go to ground. Referee disdainfully waves an arm and says, get on with it.
Quite right.
Away come Kaya. But that was a moment of danger. 2-on-1 for a moment, and in the end, Kaya survived. Now what have they got? Players on the edge of the area. Now he just took too long. Uesato there, wasn't mindful of the player coming back. Sayuri, who's done well. He slows things again. Well, out it goes. Time for a breather.
This is what we talked about, this counter-attack. Players want to get up and support. As Osis got the ball there and turned and looked to pick someone out, only way they can do that is by putting in lung-busting 50, 60-yard sprints. And the further you go forward, the further you have to come back. So, yeah, it's a big task for PSM, really.
Panha's ball in is a good one. Savic deals with it. But look at that. If you look at where Seraf Hazic is really standing, he's holding a line on the edge of the area, and that's pretty much where they're camped at the moment, PSM. Oh, you could see what the ball was there from Nano. Clever one. Horikoshi can't get the ball in again. Oh, careful. Oh. Is that a penalty? Was it in the area? Risky challenge. Risky challenge coming in there, and maybe Hussein Aldor got away with that one.
I think a closer look at that, I would suspect that was either a penalty or right on the line. I think there's contact there, and I think he's a very, very lucky boy.
Well, surprised there aren't more protests there from Kaya, but that certainly looked, as he lined it up, you found yourself just wondering, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he'll be very thankful there.
Let's see if we get a replay of that one to look at anytime soon, but a risky moment at the back for PSM. And again, it was just the invention in that pass that just stretched them. It really did, and Hazic couldn't get on the end of it.
Yeah, he's a good little player, Nano. Hasn't really achieved probably what people thought he might, given the way he went through college. He had some really bad injuries. I mean, he was out of the game for about a year and a half, just trying to recover, but there's no denying the talent that boy has.
Oh, Hussein Eldor went down under a challenge then, and it just looked as if they might be away there. Takagni's annoyed because he thought he was in. Game you feel really is just on the edge right now. Which way is it going to go? Good win. So nicely, one header there. Good strong defensive work. Horikoshi
Far
got
Uesato. Find him.
Left is open, you're right. He's going to need that diagonal. He hasn't got that there. And this is where things have just been breaking down a bit, unless this man can pick a pass. Clips one in, little bit heavy. Nano too much on that one.
Well, he's an exciting player now. He can make things happen, and we've seen the introduction. You know, he's been playing passes that we've not seen that quality in any other part of the game. These little reverse passes, and just waited to a point where they are put into a player's run.
Yeah, I mean, he arrived on the scene just, what, 2-3 minutes before half-time, and really, right from the get-go, he's brought something to this team that was sorely lacking, as they just kept really coming up against a maroon wall and not being able to break it down.
I had the pleasure of coaching him for a couple of months, and it was where he got his first big injury in one of our games, and yeah, it was a real shame. But you won't see anyone smile with a bigger smile. His smile's probably as big as he is tall.
Like his appetite, he's on the ball all the time, wants it. Looks nicely done. Oh, and he tried to roll with that one. Did Conor Takagni, and couldn't quite get through, but I mean, he's going to offer them a focal point, isn't he? You can see what he's all about.
Oh, he's going to be a big bruiser, and up against the Bosnian centre back that's just come on, he's not going to give him a minute's peace. He'll quite happily put himself about.
Well, they'll be frustrated with his delivery there, really, Masanari Omura, because as the game goes on, you feel he's going to step forward a little bit more and get involved.
Well, I'd like to see Kaya just going for it. You know, they've got, so long as they keep the back door locked, and I think Osis is he must be low on juice by now. He's been running pretty much non-stop throughout the game, so if they can just contain it, keep opening these little spaces, keep dragging them around. You see those three just lurking against the centre-backs.
And there we go, an opportunity to take it to the byline, something we haven't seen enough of, really. Now just a moment of respite, really, for PSM as they go through the middle. That's a clever ball out to the left-hand side if he can keep it in, but he can't. And these little breaks are few and far between right now for the home side.
Yeah, I think there'll be less and less the more Kaya really push forward and turn the screw. I think it's going to be less and less. Some really heavy legs out there, having to defend with 10 men since, what, the 10th minute.
Yeah. Let's have a look at how they shape up. Look at the top of the screen there, Simon. I've been impressed by Jason Panhai. He's coming. He keeps the width on the left. We've seen Horikoshi doing it on the right, and they've stretched this team, haven't they, as much as they can. Out it goes to Panhai. Now here's a chance. Into the area. Oh, it was deflected. Uesato's shot could have caused trouble, but instead it just took the sting out of it.
Yeah, it just took all the power off it there. But well dealt with the keeper. Good strong hand behind it.
And in the end, it was a crucial challenge that came in there from Hazic. Just got enough on it. But again, evidence then that with a little bit of width, opening up that defence, that could be the way through for the visitors. What a result this would be if they could come to Indonesia and win a game in this competition. That would throw things wide open.
It really would. And again, well, no, we've touched on this before, but this really is, people don't understand behind the scenes, but this is a David and Goliath. It really is. Kaya is a small organisation, family run. It's not, you know, one man digging his hand into a pocket paying for expensive players.
Horikoshi there. Well, they've tried to keep it alive. Did that strike a hand?
No, he's not having that. That's 2 shouts. Well, he knows it's touched it because he's not said anything to the referee, just tried to get out of there.
Really interesting, that one. That was Waziat there, who, again, will we get a replay? We didn't get one of the Eldor challenge in the area, and that's a little frustrating, really, because there might be 2 very legitimate penalty shouts there for Kaya. What can they make of this? Swings a long way from goal, and that's an inventive effort there, but never really likely to trouble the keeper from Simone Rota.
In fact, some of the players, certainly a couple of years ago, when they would come in order to get a salary that they were able to live on. They would have to coach in their academy as well to try and make up. This was how Kaya were pulling players in, and this is unheard of. You know, there isn't even academies in Indonesia that are capable of doing that. So this is where we are. We have a team that has good salary, that pays good money. Then you have Kaya, who are a family-run team. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the difference. There's a club in the home side here, founded in 1915.
Yes.
And another one that's 24 years old. And remember, from Makati.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, obviously a very modern day story for Kaya, but one that's working. And as you say, on a modest budget, they're doing great things.
Well, they will only get stronger because their academy is outstanding, and some of the young players coming through, I mean, they dominate in all age groups throughout the Philippines now. And full credit to ex-Azcal Chris Greatwich for building that and continuing it on. You know, he's done a great job there.
Yeah, and one of the general managers of the club, and it's a well-managed setup there, isn't it?
It's a well-run. When other teams in the Philippines are throwing money in and then going out of business, then throwing money in and sponsors being pulled out, Kaya have maintained the way they do things, the way they do business. They've maintained it all the way through, and really they will only get stronger given some of the players that will come through the ranks.
Yep, absolutely. So what happens now? We have maybe 10 minutes remaining in this one, and for all their endeavour in this second half, just the one goal so far for Kaya. And always that threat that the physicality of PSM could undo them at the other end of the pitch. Sinaga may well be favoured to take this one. Again, Osas is getting involved. He loves mixing it in there. Oh, and that delivery wasn't the best. Straight at the two-man wall from Sinaga, who naturally appeals for a handball, but now has to just face up as Kaya look to build again. Do so with a bit of width. Nano's available inside. There he is. And it's all on the right of him. That's a good little ball as well. Can he get there? Horikoshi. And for once, is he able to deliver? No, he comes back inside again to the number 17. And this is where things are breaking down. This is where they need a moment of inspiration. We saw it once with that left-footed ball to Giganto for the header. Horikoshi unable to work his way through. And in broken play, this might just be the chance. There's an overlap on. Instead, they play the ball in early. Looking for Takagni, couldn't do anything there. Osato just lacking composure when he needed it. We've seen that a couple of times now.
Just snatching at that, really. It sat down for him. He could have got that on target, but just snatching it over the bar.
And for the last time, we're going to see a change being made here. This is Hasim Kipu coming on.
Yeah, Sinaga very much playing out of position in order to get his work done today. Not seen as a left midfielder and having to do a lot of defensive work.
Yeah, that will have taken an awful lot out of him. And now it's a question of just seeing this one through. And again, look at the size on Hasim Kipu. He's got another physical presence coming in here just to try and continue that block between the goal and Kaya's attackers, who, in all honesty, haven't really taken the chances, Simon, when they've come their ways. Half chances here and there, shooting opportunities. We've seen just a little lack of composure. Yeah. Otherwise, you feel they probably should be in front of this game.
I think at this level, there isn't that many chances. I mean, you don't often see 5-6 drubbings. You don't see high scores. You know, coaches at this level, there are good teams. They've won their league, finished second in their league, won competitions. These are good teams that play against each other, so they're tight games. And when chances come, you just have...
Oh, that's lovely. Sorry, that's Nano, just to interrupt you there. But where's the quality there? You'd have expected better. He did so well to work the opportunity. Good chance. Oh, it's gone wide. It was a lovely ball in, and it was the captain, Bedic, who got on the end of it, and he knows he should have done better.
Yeah.
Oh, off the defender and behind for a corner. But that was goal-bound, and that could have been a winner.
Yeah, he knows how good a chance that one was. Just sneaked inside our door, attacked the ball that little bit better.
Will it come for the visitors, who are knocking on the door again? The outswinger floated in, Mitchell was up and down and wide, and again his face tells you a story.
He knows.
Oh, he had a jump on that and should have done better. Just enough of a challenge on him maybe to put him off.
Yeah, just enough. Just enough.
Oh, these are compelling moments as we come towards the end of this AFC Cup encounter. Is there to be late drama here in Jakarta's Madya Stadium, just at the Bung Karno? Oh, and that's a kick out by Horikoshi, and that has to be surely punished as he was away there. Yeah, he's going to take a yellow for that all day long.
Smart little bit of play there, you have to say. He can't afford to have lost that one.
Yeah, Sayuri was on his way, wasn't he?
Has to make sure. Not at this stage, it's too important. If it takes a yellow card, you know, that's what it takes.
So his name goes in the book, and he's hurt himself in making that foul as well. So often the case. But he's taken one for the team, I suppose you'd say there. Now, they've got some height here, because, of course, with the second half introduction of Serif Hazic, there's a little bit more heft there to aim for, but it needs to be better than that. The substitute really not covering himself in any glory there with that delivery. Hasim Kipu.
Oh, no. Have a little look. He didn't look over his shoulder, did he? He just played that blind.
Played that blind with Osas. That wily campaigner knew exactly what he was doing there. And again, these are just eating into the final few minutes of this game and just stopping any kind of momentum that Kaya might be building towards a grandstand finish. Lovely little flick, Uesato, nicely done. Picked up by the scampering figure there of Nano, who uncharacteristically misplaces one. Well, let's hope this doesn't peter out. It's been too good of a game for that. There's been enough about this one to merit a winner for either side.
Yeah, it's been enthralling, it certainly has. You don't want to take your eye off it, because as soon as you do, something's going to happen.
Safety first. He decides to, maybe not. Yeah, Carlisle Mitchell having a little bit of a think.
Just needs to be a bit careful. There's been a little bit of a downpour there just in the last 5 or 10 minutes, so the ground's going to be a little bit slippy. It's a good flick if someone was on his wavelength and gambling in behind.
Someone really needs to get a hold of this one, and as it is, it's Kipu. Played a good ball up there to Osas. He's got Mitchell for company, comfortably moves away from him. Now, is there quality from the left-hand side? Is there a shot even here from the substitute, Hasim Kipu? Oh, it's just wide! I don't know if it was a pass meant for Osas, but he turned it into a chance, and he's down on his knees. He knows that was a chance.
I'm not sure if that was a shot or it was a... I think it was a mishit shot.
Oh, so close to a goal, though. Either way, surely that would have settled things. Keeper wouldn't have had a chance. That was a shot. That was a shot from the substitute.
I think it was if it wasn't a shot, if it was a pass in, Osas could have controlled it and fired it in the back of the net. I think he just had to get something on it.
Ooh, what a let-off. What a let-off there for Kaya. Have they got anything as we come towards the end of this one?
Sas isn't even dirty there. There's not even a mark on his shirt. He's not had to do anything other than pick the ball out the back of the net.
And suddenly, Bojan Hodak's team have done a good job here of just dragging themselves up the pitch a little bit. They were sitting back and inviting pressure, as they've done a bit now. Oh, it's nice feet from the big man.
He's been caught out a bit there. Needs to get back into position quite quickly.
Now, can they spring quickly? Some tired legs out there as well. Let's not forget that. There he goes. Oh, nice little curling ball in. Oh, it's off the crossbar. Keeper was beaten.
Be smart.
Uesato nearly draws a foul. They've got to be careful in there. Now some quality. Simone Rota delivers a curling ball far post. Too far. Oh, that was a scary moment there. It was Jason Panhai, who's been so good down the left-hand side, who put a ball in and saw it come back off the crossbar.
A bit of a cross shot, and the goalkeeper, who's been assured in the air so far, that time trying to palm it away, missed it off the crossbar.
Well, the good news is we've got 4 more minutes of this to go, and there's been a bit of drama about the climax to this game. What have we got still to come?
One more chance maybe for either side.
Osas can't win that. Oh, that's a heavy challenge.
That's probably a yellow card.
That's a clumsy one there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the card comes out there. Masanari Omura can have no great complaints about that.
Not the first of his career. He's a tough player. He played centre-back for a long, long time in Philippines, and was always a tough player to play against.
91st minute, ball gets away from you. There's only one outcome likely there, and he takes the yellow. And we've seen a sprinkling of these. It hasn't been a dirty game, but just one or two challenges, a little bit overzealous. It's a little bit slippery, as you say, right now as well. Now, an opportunity and a bit of space and time for Horikoshi there. Gets his head up, looks at the options, into the middle it goes. And now the runners go as well. Takagi looking to go on the end of that one. And they'll have to be careful once more. Safety surely has to be the first priority. And that indeed is where it goes from Eldor. Are we going to see a mistake settle this one? Is there going to be a moment of magic? What have we got in the 2.5 minutes that remain? Horikoshi, well, the call was for the line. Remember, he's just picked up a yellow here. Don't commit a foul there. Nicely done. Horikoshi again now. Whip the cross. Again, quality not there. And unfortunately, you don't want to single a player out, but time and time again, it hasn't quite been there, the composure.
No, and not really under pressure there. He had time to just wrap his foot around it, make sure it's a good delivery, but rushed a little bit.
Sumoni Rota fancies this. He's moved right up at the end of this game. Thinks he might be able to influence this result. I don't know if he has a long throw, but he's looking to work to feet. There he is. Takagi comes and gets. Now, is there a cross at the end of this one? Yeah, not bad. Again, a little bit too much from Rota. In fact, it is bad. Out it goes. Twice he's got forward, twice he's not made the most of his crosses.
One might suggest stay back, send someone else forward.
He's 35 years old. He can do what he wants.
Yeah, he certainly can. I think he's earned that right.
Well, it looks as if we might be coming to an end here with a 1-1 scoreline, barring something dramatic right at the end of this one. The rain's just intensifying. And it's been a thoroughly entertaining outing, this one, here in Jakarta. Spectacular for Moses. What a lovely layoff that was. Acrobatic. Oh! Carlisle Mitchell has absolutely scythed his man down there, and another yellow card. Oh, goodness me.
Good Lord.
Oh, Sayuri, he's been on the receiving end a couple of times today, hasn't he? Bojan.
Quite rightly,
not happy with that.
Not too happy with that one.
Well, Carlisle, again, maybe the suggestion is get back and do some defending.
Yeah, stop talking, just get back into position. I'm sure that's what Kaya coach will be screaming at him.
All right, we're into the last minute. Time is fast running out. Hussein Eldor is not in a great rush here. Not the worst result in the world, probably for either side here. As that one goes behind, and surely that will be the last meaningful attack from the PSM point of view. Whether or not Kaya can put something together remains to be seen.
No, I think you're right. In terms of results coming out of this with a 1-1, Kaya will be happily travelling quite a distance.
Unbeaten as well in their campaign.
Yeah, and given what PSM have had to put up with in the run into this game, and actually what's happened in the game. I think
before the game, PSM don't take a draw, do they?
No,
before the game, surely
no.
Well, there we are then. The referee has blown the full-time whistle. Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure there. Honours even, fair result?
Yeah, I think so. I think both got home happy.
All right, thank you very much indeed. So it was a game that saw all sorts of drama. A much-changed PSM side, weathering an early storm and then going in front through Osas in the first half. But with the introduction of the little playmaker Nano, Kaya really bossing things in the second half. Giganto getting on the end of a Nano cross and making it 1-1. Chances at either end. And at the end, after a thoroughly dramatic affair in Jakarta, it's honours even and a full-time scoreline of PSM Makassar 1, Kaya FC 1.
explosive.
What a way to score it!
The spectacular.
That was sheer brilliance!
And the downright bizarre.
What the heck was that? Oh, goodness me! It is extraordinary!
Only one place to catch them all.
What about that for a corker? Do not stop those!
Goals on Fox Sports.
How far will our nomadic species have wandered by the end of the next century? Who will we become in the far future?
Sporting art at its finest. Oh, it's just amazing.
So good, so tempered, so perfect.
This is turning into quite a performance, delighting the crowd, embracing the occasion.
Oh, absolutely sensational.
That had a bit of everything in it.
And it just gets better and better.
Welcome to the grand finale of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. We're back for the 7th and final stop of the season. This is the 4th time the men have competed at this location, while it's the first time for the women. Located on the northern tip of the Iberian Peninsula, less than 20 km south of the Bay of Biscay, Bilbao lies within one of the most populous metropolitan areas of northern Spain. The 27-metre and 21-metre platforms are directly attached to the La Salle Bridge, which gained popularity when the world-famous Guggenheim Museum was built right underneath it. Gary Hunt and Rhiannon Ifland have already wrapped up the World Series titles, but there's still plenty of excitement left in store. Four-time women's title holder Ifland aims for the perfect season of straight wins, while the brilliant Brit will be determined to win here, a location he's never quite conquered. 27,000 enthusiastic spectators came out to witness the last dives of the season. The clash for a thrilling final is on. The San Richard from Canada entered the final round ranked second. She chose a forward 3 somersaults, 1.5 twists with a running takeoff and a DD of 3.9. The solid execution earned her 300.8 points in total. With this result, she's able to defend second place today and enough points to secure third place in the World Series rankings. Australian Rhiannon Ifland was in the lead after 3 rounds and had the honour of the last dive in the women's competition. She knew that she can write history with her last dive, an inward 3 somersaults half twist. The judges reward her great execution with a score of 327.6 points, meaning not only another win for the 28-year-old, but also she